And goodbye, bots. I'm glad you're gone. Hey, how is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. I'm going to address a few things. I'm going to probably start it easier than get into a few things that are rather important to me. So, let's start with the last stream, and I had somebody come into chat, and I worship you guys. I really do. And I'm sorry I'm a spaz. I'm sorry that I don't even know what to do. I'm sorry that so far I've had 2 people come into chat and say hi to me and do things like that. And, very supportive and very awesome. And I'm just complete and total spaz. And I'm want to have a conversation with you and talk to you and, do this stuff. But you're one person, and I know that you've got typing to do and probably other things that you're paying attention to other than just me. And I am like, a little nervous when people come. I don't know why. I shouldn't be. Nervous is probably the wrong word. Just kind of an unexpected surprise, very welcome surprise. So thank you for doing it when you guys do it. I think it's probably because I've just done so many chats with no feedback, no, thing, and then I basically, wait to see what the comments come out as, and all you have to do is just go through my site. You'll see that I am those are even few and far between. So when somebody actually comes into the chat, that's just like actually, it's very welcome, but I'm definitely out of my element, or I'm out of my depth when it comes to responding. And I'm going to try. I give you guys got 100% of my thing. We can derail the stream and just, be, what chat wants to do. Especially here in Unscripted. Unscripted is meant for that. So I can't thank you enough for doing that. The 2 people that have come into the chat and talked to me, actually, holy cow, I'm sorry. It's been 3 people in 3 different chats. So 3 different chats that people have come in and said hi to me and stuff like that. And I've been a spaz and a dork and completely caught off guard, and I'll get used to it. It'll happen. There will be chats, and I will be able to have, chat streams and stuff like that, which I will adore doing, and I look forward to it. And I would look forward to how you think and what you do, and, your questions of me, and, and I would love to turn it into kind of an impromptu of what I originally wanted to do, on with YouTube with this channel itself, which was that I was going to be a Q&A type of thing. And, we'll cut the live out because I'd rather do it live, because it would be, I think it would be much more fun to do it live. And if you have the answer, or if somebody asks a question that they really want to know an answer to, and I answer it and I'm completely wrong, which is going to probably happen because I'm not going to look up the answer. I'm not going to, if somebody says what dress color, in some show, and I say blue and it's really green, and, all that other stuff, please feel free to give the correct answer. I know that I sometimes come across as a know-it-all. I don't know it all. In fact, I know very little. I only know what I know, if that makes sense. So yeah, the elephant in the room addressed. I'm. It's not embarrassing. It's just that it really shows how far out of my depth with doing this is because I can watch streamers and they can have a thousand people in their chat room and chatting up a storm while they're doing it, or even 10 people chatting up a storm while they're doing the stream, and I'm one of the people who's putting in the chats and stuff like that and talking, and um, they people who I I I hope that it's a learned experience instead of something that's natural for people, because I think that as far as level of it goes, I have a long way to go before I can get to that point. And I think where I'm at right now is probably a pretty good place, and I hope I don't scare people off who come into the chat and say things. Right now there's nobody even here, so it's me talking about myself, talking by myself. So if they come into the chat, they're not even going to know that I said all this stuff. Because like last time, I ended up having a repeat of something that I was talking about because they missed it, and it's like now you have it done twice, and I don't know if that's okay. It's unscripted, so it's definitely okay for this type of it for my live streams. But yeah, I probably would not have the first iteration of it. I would probably just do the second iteration of it. I think it came out better because it was probably part of the queue. But did you miss what I said about this? Um, the second thing I want to address, and I put it in Twitter, and there's things happening in the communities and stuff like that. And for those just getting introduced to me, I I played Dungeons and Dragons since I was a kid. I was in, when I was a Boy Scout, I was in what was known as the Dragon Patrol. We played Dungeons and Dragons all the time. It was Dungeons and Dragons all the time. And it one of the first things that basically broke my heart about Dungeons and Dragons, and I didn't even know it was happening, and I've been a huge advocate for not I guess you call it gender equality, but allowing people who are interested, regardless of their gender, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their background. There are people who don't read fantasy novels who end up loving Dungeons and Dragons. There was a TV show, back in the '90s called Freaks and Geeks, and one of the last shows, they play Dungeons and Dragons, and one of the, I guess he's a freak. The whole show kind of trite and stuff like that, but I loved the show when it came out. So, and yeah, and the actors in it, basically child actors in it, almost all went on to becoming, celebrities in their own right. So it definitely works. There's definitely that working for them, as it were. Um, but they play Dungeons and Dragons in it, and you can see the inclusive nature of it. But one of the things that was definitely missing from their group, is the gender. A little more gender equality. Women should not, or girls, should not be discouraged from playing Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I think that Stranger Things has women playing Dungeons and Dragons with the group of guys. I think 13 um, is she plays Dungeons and Dragons with them. So I think that it seems like that was accepting. Um, I I didn't have I didn't know it was happening at the time, so I didn't address it when I was a kid, and even in my teens, and probably even into my early 20s, when I was very heavy into Dungeons and Dragons. Still, I didn't realize that there was an entire group that kept it all men. I didn't know that women were being excluded from it. I didn't know. And I think if I did know or I was aware of it, and I could have just been blind to it and not seen it. There were, groupies and stuff like that, but um, this is not charging. I'm going to take a small break. 1 second. That's why it's not charging. All of a sudden, the battery just dropped out. Are we charging now? You're charging now. Okay. I don't know why, but my Chromebook did not charge up. Go a little bit further away. Why not? See if that helps. We're still charging. Okay, good. Lost train of thought. Says all of a sudden, the Chromebook basically said, "You have 6 minutes left before we're shutting down," because of lack of power. And I was like, "Oh." But I know I was talking about Dungeons and Dragons and how women were excluded from it, and girls were excluded from it. And I didn't realize that they don't want to, women don't want to be just the groupie or the fan or, the fan of watching players play. Why would you want that? Why wouldn't you want to be a player yourself? I will admit, Boy Scouts, I mentioned that before. It was exclusively boys when I was in Boy Scouts. They did not have what they have today, which is where girls were included into the Boy Scout ranks. I don't even know, because I'm not even in touch with anybody from my original patrol, which was the Dragon Patrol. I don't even know if it still exists. It probably doesn't. But in any case, it's not an excuse that I was not aware of it. It is it's like the Equal Rights Amendment. I mean, for my entire life, the Equal Rights Amendment existed. And I did not even know that it didn't have enough to pass. Now, this is a one-sentence amendment to the Constitution that allows everybody to be equal. I thought this was a given, but as it stands, even right now, I'll have to check, or somebody can correct me in the comments below. But as it stands right now, it is all men were created equal. And it's not even just all men, it really is all white men are created equal, because I think it's the 14th. I think it's the 14th Amendment. One of the amendments doesn't see people of color as 1/5 of a white person, which is freaking blows my mind that actually existed. But it's it's a horrible thing that it existed, but we shouldn't ignore it, and we should fix it. Problems, that's a problem, and it should be fixed. Like, this is where people people lose touch with things. And the Equal Rights Amendment, like I said, it's only one sentence, and it doesn't seem to say anything that I would not say is a given right immediately for every American, especially adult American in this country. And why this doesn't exist, it's still, like I said, I still think it's crazy. It's like, why does not tying your fish to a fire hydrant, why is that law, or that bill made into law? Why does that still exist? And why aren't we clean these things up? I mean, yeah, I guess you can still not tie your fish to a fire hydrant. Definitely think that the original rule of thumb, where hitting your wife with a stick thicker than your thumb is illegal. I think that should actually be changed with you can't, that's assault and battery, and that should fall onto that, and it should not be permissible at all. Those things, like, and gun laws and stuff like that exist. It drives me crazy when people like quote the Second Amendment, and I'm like, going, do you realize, like, if you followed the law, just because it's not being in practice, doesn't mean that they can't use it. It's one of the interesting things that I find with identification and stuff like that people try to use against police officers all the time. Just so you know, there's usually, in most states, especially in the border states, and I'm talking, Canada and Mexico, especially in the border states, each of the states has laws that allow authorities to invade your privacy. Those laws do exist. And just because there's also laws and federal laws that protect people's privacy and protect people's right to travel and all those things, doesn't mean that those laws, especially people who do not live, if you don't, there was something with New Mexico where if you do not live in New Mexico and you're traveling through New Mexico, you have to produce valid identification. And yeah, most people don't realize, like, oh yeah, I'm producing valid identification. When you're driving, you have a driver's license. Most people have the driver's license, and they can present it to a police officer upon request. And they don't realize that certain states actually have it as a requirement to present those identification. And it's a lot more states than you might think. Gun laws, same thing. Most gun laws, especially the open carry states, they have another law, and that's usually used against people of color, and when it's actually enforced. But it can be enforced against white people because there's no discerning color in the law, which is how they were able to get it passed, and people aren't rioting because of it. But the way it's practiced is because of, and it's due to racism, is that it's usually used to oppress people of color, not white people. But white people can be subjected to it at any time, and white people have been subjected to those laws. And I've watched video after video of people being harassed, and there was a military guy who was, open carrying, because there's an open carry laws in Texas. He was open carrying his AR-15 like he is proudly able to do. And guess what? The AR-15 can be seized from you at any time. You can be arrested for owning any type of firearm. At any time for any reason, and it's a suspicious intent, I think, is the law in Texas that they have, and that that you would probably say, oh, that goes against my Second Amendment rights, my right to bear arms. And you know what? You're right, it does. But why don't you fix it? Why aren't these laws fixed? Why don't you have comprehensive gun reform for all your laws? Why do you have contradictory laws and not comprehensive gun reform? New Jersey, which was a state that I lived in, a suspicion of owning a gun gives police the right to enter your domicile just under the suspicion of owning a firearm. That means legal firearms. So if you have a hunting license and it is for shotgun or for rifle, and you renew it, they can say we suppose this person has their firearm in their house, and we can now enter the house at any time. That is definitely a law in New Jersey, and if you think that it violates your Second Amendment rights, when it became a bill under Republican trust, and a majority Republican votes for it, that law of entering your domicile, your place of residence, it exists. And if you own a gun, it's one of the reasons why when I lived in New Jersey, I never owned a firearm, ever. And I never carried a firearm in New Jersey for that very reason. Because they could, there's nothing that would stop them it wouldn't stop them from entering my home if they just say you're suspicious enough that we think that you own a gun. But what would make it worse is if they entered my domicile and found a gun. I would like to keep it as where I could then turn in where the suspicion came from, and basically attack the police under the grounds that I never owned a gun. So why would there be any suspicion of it? I've never carried a gun in New Jersey. Unfortunately, I was an avid paintball player, and I had paintball markers. Most people call them paintball guns, but you have to call them paintball markers. And fortunately for me, with New Jersey, where New Jersey is concerned, they did deem paintball markers as a non-firearm, non-weaponry, all that stuff. Which that's where they fell, and you do not need to have a license to own a paintball marker. And notice I keep saying that. I do not call it a paintball gun. I have called it a paintball gun for years, but because of the way the law is written, if I call it a gun, it's no longer a paintball marker. So it has to always be considered a paintball marker. But so I've never owned a gun. I've never carried or owned a gun in New Jersey. And all the times that I've lived in New Jersey, and I came back and forth from New Jersey a billion times. So I know it very well, and I'm very well aware of it. I had been with people who carried firearms on a daily basis. I've hunted in New Jersey, and I've known all those things, and I've been very well aware of it, and I've been very well aware of how different you are treated, even being white, when they know that you own a gun or you're around a person who owns a gun. You are considered dangerous. And if police deem you as dangerous in New Jersey, it is a police state, and it is set up that way. And I can't tell you how many people that I know blame the Democrats for it. And I want you to know, Democrats had nothing. Every time Democrats try to put anything that has to deal with guns before Congress, before the state legislation, before anything like that. And this is across the United States, anytime, including in California, anytime it's done with the Democrats in mind, usually ends up in failure. It usually ends up being shut down almost immediately. It's usually considered invasive and all that other fun stuff. But where the Republicans are concerned, because the Republicans have the NRA support and everything like that, the NRA does not care about anybody else but the NRA. Keep that in mind. The NRA does not care, does not want to protect people who are not in the NRA. And if you make the NRA, if you are a member of the NRA and you make the NRA look bad, they don't want you. You will be banned from the NRA. And I hate to say it, there's a lot of Democrats that are members of the NRA, even though that's supported in Congress. That how can Democrats own guns too? And if you are not a fan of allowing Democrats to own guns, then your whole Second Amendment freaking argument falls apart. Yes, I definitely think that people should not, especially where improperly trained or never had the proper training. I don't think people like that should have guns. I think people with mental illness, especially a history of mental illness. I think that people who have committed crimes, especially violent crimes, should not own guns, and I think that should be used as a deterrent, so that if they are found with guns and firearms, that they can be arrested for it, and they can, they will be met with equal punishment before something happens. And that is how the system should work, and it's always worked, and that works for everything else, including driving a car. Because I hate when people talk about guns and driving a car, and I'm like going, if we put the same amount of effort into to guns, and yes, people drive illegally, people drive on a suspended driver's license, people drive with everything like that. But if we put the same amount of effort that we do for people to own and drive cars, that we do for people to own and fire guns, it would be completely different. And you would really, people who are Second Amendment, don't tread on me supporters, would really understand what that means. Because, in Texas, it is easier to own a gun right now than it is to wear a mask. But if they enforce the laws on the books, every person in Texas, because it's that easy to own a gun, can be deemed as a hostile to the authorities. Everybody. The public at large in Texas, because it's so easy to own a gun, and you can own a gun without licensing, without paperwork of ownership. I think the law right now in Texas is if you have the gun in your possessions, you are the owner of the gun. And that means that you can do it without paperwork and everything like that. So suspicious persons law for owning a gun means that everybody, even people who do not have guns, can be under the suspicion of having a firearm. And that makes the entire public vulnerable to a police state and police rule. And will it be enforced? And you probably can think, oh, well, it probably won't be enforced to white people. But just so you know, It's enforced to poorer white people, and since the middle class is going away, it's going to be enforced heavily to the middle class. The oligarchy probably will not ever feel this, but lower upper class probably will. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. That's how racism works. Didn't you know? You didn't really want to get into me and freaking firearms and everything like that, but that's what's happening. I think that it's pathetic and a little bit crazy, and I am almost ashamed that I ever voted Republican in any election and for anybody. And um, I always thought that I was voting for, instead of voting party line, I was voting for the person who I felt made the best candidate for the job. I've always considered voting as me interviewing the candidates, and now after the whole freaking 45 freaking disaster and destruction and where the GOP is now, I I literally want to just vote against anything that they have. Nothing substantial. They have no business in politics anymore. That's really how I feel about it. And it is kind of a shame, but it's also something that I predicted years ago. I predicted years, even before 45. Predicted when Bush Sr. Was president, and when he lost the election to Bill Clinton, especially, did I see how horrible the GOP had become, and the damage that even Ronald Reagan did to this country. And that damage, stems even before Nixon and even before this, and then you can take it all the way back. The Dixiecrats, who are now mostly Republicans and not fiscal conservatives. And I have no idea what happened to the fiscal conservatives and the Republican Party, because they're not anymore. There's a lot of good things. I definitely disagree with the methodology of the fiscal conservatives. I definitely don't think that it works in practice. Things, and this is not voodoo economics, trickle down theory or anything like that. The goal is pretty much the same. They just have a different way of doing it, and there are some certain things that, because they haven't been put into practice, and I blame Democrats and Republicans for this, because they don't do this. They don't. I don't believe that either party has the will of the people in mind. It just I think the GOP has just gone so far. If they call it right, they've gone so far right that they don't not even in the political spectrum anymore. And the Democrats have been scrambling, and more right leaning than left leaning in most cases. Not a very moderate supporter, but I will definitely support the moderate over the GOP any day. I think that once people relearn what socialism actually is and what a socialist program is, they'll realize that supporting the military, you're supporting socialism. Supporting the police, you can be supporting socialism. Police are more authoritarian than socialist, but can be considered a socialist program. When you get into communism, that's where a lot of things fall apart. Bernie Sanders is not a communist or anti-capitalist or whatever you want to say, but social programs. We need social programs. We need socialism in a democracy, because the most vulnerable need protection and need help and need to be, need to have the idea that their current situation can change for them, and their survival should not be on their day-to-day paycheck, and if one crisis will devastate them. I understand how living like that, how living in constant fear of one bad day, and I have been able to, by just my current situation, to stave off the bad days that I've had. But I've had bad days and I've had struggles and I really did not know how I was going to come back from it. I had, with my current job that I freaking hate and I talk bad about, they gave me 3 weeks of unpaid leave. And I will tell you, those 3 weeks hurt. They hurt so bad that I'm still recovering from them. And it's now been for almost 5 years. Yeah, it's been almost 5 years since that 3 week unpaid time happened, and I still have not rebounded from it. And that shows you like how how that is. I mean, and partly because I've had struggles, partly because I've had my paycheck affected by certain situations, that every time I kept getting my head above water, I was knocked back down. Every time I try to get my debt under control and wrangled in, I was knocked back down. And it literally has been a climb. And when I went off the road with my car and totaled it, that hurt. And basically, it's like I took 3 steps forward and I went 4 steps back. And that's the type of gains that I've been dealing with. And I'm still pushing forward in it. It is the reason that I haven't just basically, because if this was 20-year-old me, if this was 20-year-old me in this job, in my job that I'm currently doing, and did half the crap that they did to me, I would have basically quit and I would have sued their asses and I would have taken them to freaking court and I would have basically been stubborn and freaking evil to them, as evil as I possibly could. So they would know how freaking evil they've been to me. And this is what makes that worse. This would have been the first time that they did something bad to me, instead of me just taking it like I did. And I took it and I even told them like this should not happen. This is wrong. And when I complained about it, they freaking hit me again. And that's when I got 2 letters of removal where they tried to fire me from my job. And the reason that I didn't get fired is because they had no fucking grounds to fire me. And that's the truth. And this is how horrible this job is. And if I freaking didn't need it, if I didn't have to survive off of it, I would tell you that I would take it and I would go for years. They'd made me a stupid freaking offer that wasn't worth it, and I would basically bury them. I would bury them. And all the money that I made, I would spend on freaking lawyers. That's how bad I would freaking bury them, because that would be worth it to me. And that's how horrible they are. 20-year-old me would freaking eaten them alive. They're lucky I wasn't. You're lucky that I didn't. They're lucky that I have stuff to lose now. Just lucky. But once it happens, once I can rid myself of them, this kid gloves, they think that maybe there's a statute of limitations of the freaking horrible things or the money that they owe me and all this other shit that I talk about. And it's one of the reasons why I don't mention the company that I work for, Because if I mention the company that I work for, they might freaking come at me. They might do something, especially if let's say I become popular on YouTube and here I am saying all these horrible things. But yeah, the second that I'm out, I'm going to be filing, there will be filed charges against them. And I will be looking to get back all the money that they've taken from me and all the damage that they've caused. And I would also looking for them to pay my lawyers. I want a team against them. They know that when they reviewed my books and stuff like that, and they told me that everything, we owe you this money. Oh yeah, just so you know that there's a year limit on this, on us paying you for your miles and all the driving that you've done. Oh yeah, and they basically held it off for the year and they let it expire. Well, guess what? There's no real limit on that. You owe it to me. You still owed it to me. I filed against it. I filed for it, and you still owe it to me. You're going to owe it to me for the rest of my life. And whoever inherits my life, you will owe them. That money is earned, and you should give it to me. You forced me into this. You forced me into working. It's like how they forced me into working today on Labor Day. They forced me into it. Should not. I should not have a job that literally is like almost like a slave, and then acting like because we pay you, it's worth it. It's like, no, I should be at will. Live in a freaking at will state. It should be at will. You should have no freaking control over my life and how I do things, because your needs are no longer my needs. And yes, if you don't need me, I'm not going to be working. I understand that is one of the that could be one of the repercussions. But the problem is that you seem to need me more than I need you. And you seem to take from me the stuff that I need. Working a half day is not fucking worth it. It's not fucking worth it at all, especially if you're going to take a full day of pay from me. So now I lose half a pay. Is that how this works? If you didn't do that, I probably would work. I probably would work Labor Day and do all the things that you need me to do because you're paying me for it. And the other solution, this is definitely better than the other solution, which was allowing me to work and not paying me for my actual physical work. Changing the books. Taking off, 5 hours a week out of my pay that I actually physically worked and never giving it back. And then deeming it, oh yeah, we owe it to you. Oh yeah, we'll fix it. Oh yeah, we're gonna make this right. And never, ever doing it. If I had the means, if my debts were paid off and I was able to live comfortably, I would definitely make it my life's mission to be a thorn in their side. And they're just not nice people. And the problem is that the company that I do work for does get shit on a lot. And it could be a noble venture, but they don't treat themselves like that, and the rest of the world treats them horrible on top of it. They don't know how to fix their own freaking problems to prevent shit like this from happening. And they wonder why people quit in droves. In droves. Even before the pandemic, they were having a hiring problem. even with low unemployment, they're having a hiring problem because it's not worth it. And not only did they have a hiring problem, they had a retention problem. So they couldn't keep people. And idiots like me who stay on and put up with it because they have to, I'm even told, why didn't you just fucking quit? Because I need the money that they're providing, and it's not worth it for me. It's not worth it for me to basically jump out of the fire into another freaking fire. My job currently is the devil I know. And once I can be sustained, fuck this job. I don't have the love and care that I freaking when I came in. That's gone. Right now, it's just basically like, will they make good on their promises, or will they just keep breaking more and more promises? And breaking promises is seems to be the only thing that they're good at. I mean, there are very few, it's so few and far between from the benefits of having this job. Breaks me down. It's very repetitive motion all the time. And I'm going to, fortunately, my body is resilient enough, and it's been staying resilient, but I'm 50 freaking years old. So being 50 years old, eventually this is not going to be sustainable. And I have to face that fact. As much as I want to stay, pretend I'm immortal and I can keep this up forever. No, it's not going to happen forever. And it's not going to happen in a time that they will deem me, worthy of being paid retirement. I would have to, at this point, because of my current position within the company, basically work till I die with no retirement. Just work until I die. And I don't think that they have a problem with that. Only I have a problem with that. But yeah, that's freaking stupid job stuff, craziness like that. Thank you, whoever gave me the like. Didn't even see you come in, but thank you for the like. I appreciate that. Thank you. I just noticed you popped in. Yay! Right at the beginning of this, I talked about what a spaz I am with people coming into chat, and how I every chat, every stream that I've ever done, I've been like going, I want people in my chat and I want to be talking and everything like that. But so far, everybody who's come into the chat has gotten me as a spaz. So I'm going to try not to be a spaz. Please take that. And yes, I understand, being 45. When I was 45, when I was 40 years old, I was noticing because I was changing jobs, I was noticing that it was where the work goes and stuff like that, and how the companies treat and stuff like that is it's just awful. And I always, one of the things that I say about, my current case with the company that I work for, is that I'm not special. It's not like they've singled me out of all the workers and stuff like that and said, oh, well, this is the troublemaker that we're going to pick him out and we're going to treat him like dirt. It's like, no, I'm treated just like everybody else. I'm just another worker to them, and they treat me just like this. They rip people's pay off all the time at my job. They put them in conditions that are unsafe, while at the same time tout safety as their number one priority, and how we have to be in safe conditions all the time. And the reason that they say that to you was with the expectation of speed, consistency, and accuracy, and all the other things that go along with the job. The reason they say about safety is their priority is because when something happens, and in my job it happens all the time. I've been very fortunate that my accidents and mistakes that have happened have been few and far between. But I have to admit, I have broken the safety protocols at their request. And the reason that and it was not worth it, because when something did go wrong, especially with me, I was blamed for it 100%. Not them, even though they were forcing the work upon me and creating the unsafe environment. And in order for me to get the job done, I had to work without the safety protocols that they put in place, because they have so many at my job. And it is one of the most awful things. But one of the things that I talk about is I was just talking about, and I don't know how much you caught, was that when their books don't match up, even though they need the work done, when their books don't match up, and they're worried about, the bosses are worried about their bonuses and the money that they're making. What they do is they just fix the books so that I lose pay, I lose hours, and they've been doing it to me consistently. Only fairly recently have I been put in a situation where they are actually monitoring my hours and everything like that, so that I'm actually getting paid for my hours. But there's a flip side to that, that things like working holidays, I'm not getting any bonuses or anything like that. And because I want to work more days, they take away a full day's pay to work this half day. And so basically I lose a half day pay from my paycheck. But at least they're paying me for the hours that I'm working, which is the only difference between what they were doing before. What they were doing before was they were just forcing me to work consistently. And if I worked a holiday, they would just take that out of my paycheck and count that as a day off for me. So it didn't look like I was working, 2 years of my job that I worked, I worked without a day off at all, except for 3 days. And the 3 days are Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and the 4th of July were the 3 days that I had off in a year. Yeah, it was pretty pretty crazy and everything like that. But yeah, I've talked about my awful job and stuff like that, and how if like I didn't need it, they would, if I didn't need the money right now. I know it's like I said, just one of the reasons why I don't even mention the company that I work for, because I think that I would get backlash, and I would probably be they would make my life a little more difficult if I was touting the actual company that I actually work for. But yeah, it's an awful company to work for, and I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. But but desperate times calls for desperate measures. The only thing about it is they used to pay really well comparatively to other jobs, and now there's nothing special about them. So like getting a regular job any place, including a fast food, you can actually make as much as I'm making now, which it has become very tempting for me, because the growth has been so non-existent within the job. I, I was going to move on to a different subject. If you want to talk about this more, I'll definitely continue on. one of the things that was happening, because I'm in the online community fairly heavily, and this even goes to the corporations that actually run, even this is done by YouTube, and how their treatment of their creators and everything like that has just been awful, and how they use copyrights and DMCA's and other tactics to basically take money away from streamers. I'm in the fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you want to look at it, situation where I'm not monetized, so I'm pretty much free to do whatever I want to do. I can have copyright things, or one of the things that I was thinking about doing is making uh, using songs, especially copyrighted songs, and basically because I write parodies of those songs, and basically making a compilation of copyrighted songs. And the reason I can't do that is because it will be across. They won't partially pay people if they copyright claim. If somebody copyright claims a video of mine, they get all of it. And if I use three different copyrights of you know three different people who have copyright issues in the music and the lyrics and the songs that I'm going to use, what would happen is that it will have to get, it would probably get taken down, and I'll get DMCA'd. And I know it sounds really weird that I would get demonetized even though I'm not monetized, but it goes more than that, and I could even get banned from taken completely taken down from YouTube and stuff like that. So it's something to not do, using multiple copyrighted material. But if I use non-copyrighted material and one piece of copyrighted material or copyright claimed material, they'll get all the money that it generates, and they'll also be able to put ads in my videos and stuff like that. Which I right now, since I'm not making any money on it, somebody might as well. So that's how I thought about my copyright claims that I've had so far. If they're making money on my videos, more power to them, because I'm definitely not. And so YouTube's garnering all the revenue from it. Yes. Yeah. I think she showed that on Twitch, and I actually feel really bad, and I've been trying. One of the things with my videos is that it's one of the reasons why I put a thumbnail before all the videos. So if there's if you see a video and it has a thumbnail and it's not me, that means that it's copyright claimed, and that so you don't have to read the description to find out whether it's copyright claimed or not. So all my parody videos and everything like that. So yes, the Mousy video, which is Black Sabbath's Iron Man, that I parodied to Iron Mouse. I love that song, and I think it's great, and I wish that she could have actually showed it, because it's one of the few songs that I actually think I did Ozzy a little justice, and little justice. I never would claim myself as a decent singer, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. And yeah, she got DMCA'd. I did a few videos, a few parody videos for her, and they're not as good as that one. And I'm actually working on and I think one of them is. I think the other one's copyright claim, but the last one that I did for her, which is I think Reverse Harem, I could actually look that up. Look up my videos. Oh, yeah, but yeah, Yeah, I freaking hate that, the fact that they did that, because what when she showed the video, and the reason why she had to take down my portion of it is because Black Sabbath, and I think it was Columbia Records. I think Columbia Records actually owns Iron Man, and owns the music to Iron Man. They could actually, all the money that her site generates just from showing my video, all the money that her site generates, and she generates a lot more. She's monetized, so she's actually generating a lot of money. But all the money that her site generates, Columbia Records would get all of it for that stream. And yeah, you don't want you. It's I had a similar situation where with Nux, because Nux got demonetized for his parody of the Hamilton song that he called "You'll Be Back," the King George song. And before he got demonetized, I actually jumped on that. He was one of my first parodies, and I did the second King George song. And of course, it was copyright claimed for me. His got demonetized, and he lost all the money from it outright. And one of the reasons that him and I have not like had our feud that I've been wanting to is because the copyright claims. And I think I made a third video about it from Hamilton, which is also copyright claimed, and it went like that. But yeah, the reason that like Nux and I didn't have our fake feud over writing parodies, which is what I was hoping that it would become, is because of copyright claims. Because he can't have a copyright claim on his videos, because they'll take all the revenue that he generates from it. Most of his videos get demonetized to begin with, usually because of content, not because of copyright claims. And the last thing he needs is for some company basically saying, oh yeah, the $30,000 or $40,000 this video generated, yeah, we're taking all of it because you used copyrighted music. And that's one of the bad things about being monetized. I'm not monetized, so like I said, if any one of my videos is making money, YouTube right now is gaining all of it. I'm not monetized at all. So if somebody else can generate money from any one of my videos, especially my singing, they're more than welcome to it. If I became monetized, there would be I would have a completely different way of doing videos. But I'm not monetized, so right now it matters, but doesn't matter. But some of these videos might even be taken down. But I don't think that I don't think they'd want me to take them. They might request them to be taken down, but I don't think that they would want me to take them down, since they are making the money from it, and I don't cross copyright it, which really becomes a problem if it becomes cross copyrighted, because since each copyright claim takes all of it, they don't take percentages of the video. They will probably have me banned because of it. I don't know if that makes sense. But I'm glad you found me through Mousy. Oh, I adore her. I adore her so much. I think she is absolutely phenomenal. Especially as a singer and as a talent. And I always watch her, just to get a good laugh. Yeah, she is something else. Yeah. Most of my, I'm trying to think of like if I have any V Shoujo. I did a video for every one of the V Shoujo members, and it was actually kind of weird what was copyrighted and what was not. My Zendaya ZZ Top cover that I did the Sharp Tongue Dragon. That wasn't a ZZ Top cover. It was a ZZ Top parody. It's called Sharp Tongue Dragon. That was originally not copyright claimed, and then it became copyrighted claimed. Yeah, I think Silver is the only one that escaped that. Maybe Bebe. The Carly Rae Jepsen's parody that I did. I think those are the only two that actually escaped when I did, because I did, like I said, I did one for every single one of the VShojo members, and I was actually waiting to see who the new member is going to be, because I was like getting ready to. I have a guess on who it is, or who they are. Who knows? VShojo might hire more than one person. But I have an idea who I have a who I think they're going to make VShojo members. So I've been trying to either post. I have a few others that I posted up and stuff like that, and I have a few that written just in case my guesses are wrong and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna probably do more videos. Yeah, she's definitely one. She's definitely one that I hope she applied. I don't know if there was I was watching her stream when before she took her break and after they posted up, and she actually said that she was not applying to it, and I don't but she is definitely one of the ones that I would love to see join VShojo, especially because she can impersonate every single VShojo member. She's got their voices down pat. Mousy, I think it's funny because in Speak of the Devil, Mousy was of course interviewing her. Mousy seems to be the only impersonation that she has the most trouble with, but she does a decent job of impersonating Mousy. I think her snuffy impersonation is so spot on. I literally thought she was Snuffy for when I first heard her do a Snuffy impersonation. I think that was one of the impersonations that I thought she just nails, like almost entirely. And also she gives Zendaya a freaking run for her money. My silly question was the one where I told Haruka, I'm going to say her name right, where I just want to call her Ruka so badly, but Haruka, the question that I said was that she was the GOAT because she definitely gave Zendaya a run for her money. And that's when she first heard that GOAT means greatest of all time, which I was like actually like, ooh, I was like a big fanboy when she was like, like, oh, that's what it means when she's the GOAT. But yeah, she was. I still think she's the GOAT. But yeah, I've never seen anybody like. I've seen Zendaya walk away from people's comments, but only because they're not. They lack intelligence and they're just kind of stupid. But Haruka basically just always gives her a run for gives Zendaya a run for her money, which I think it's what makes Apex even watchable, because I actually don't like watching Apex play. Fruit's training arc was hysterical, but when the three of them are together and playing Apex, I actually like to watch it because of that. Yeah, Haruka is a very good guess. Snuffy is another guess that I had, and I actually posted it. I have a parody for Snuffy when she did the reading of The Room, because it was literally all the I have all the VShojo members, and here was Snuffy. She was the only one that that didn't have a parody. So this was I wrote the parody before even the applications went up. But yeah, I like I said, I hope Haruka applied. I there's so many that I hope applied, especially ones that they've had collabs with or they've done lead cast with. Bunny is another one that I hope joins V Shoujo as well. Um, yeah, Snuffy might have been one of the reasons why they put out the application. That I think it was after the room reading when they all did the room. Oh my god, that talk about a funny stream. But when they all did the reading of the room movie, um, what how the that's too funny. But I definitely think that it definitely seemed that Snuffy was a little because she wasn't a part of V Shoujo and everybody else in the group was V Shoujo. So I think that that was one of the reasons why they, you know, I think that they've been probably planning to expand V Shoujo for a long time, but I think that that was probably the kick that they needed. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. That Snuffy is probably it's just whether she wants it or not. And I would agree that I would even say that with Haruka because Haruka has been collabing with both Fruit and Zendrea like a million times, and she just recently did Speak of the Devil with Mousy, and she's been pretty much a part of a lot of things, and I I know that she took a break and a much needed break, but I don't think that that would affect if she wanted it, if she wanted to be a part of it. Yeah, Bunny. She was one of the early Ludcast interviewees, and I haven't seen her really connected into it as much. But and and who knows? There's a lot of Australian VTubers coming up, um, you that are all coming into the fold, and I hope almost all of them applied for V Shoujo. So there a lot of them are great. So I can see them applying. I don't know. I don't like I said. I don't know if the interview is to have one new member or to have several new members or to see how many new members, to have like a second class of the shoujo members. I think Hime and Fruit were additions, right? If I remember, I know they debuted later, but I don't know if I can't remember if they were part of the original class, the first class of. But everybody else seems to be Bebe. Bebe is also an addition. She's a recent addition too. She's after Hime, right? Yeah, I think I got that right. I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? I'm just a simp. Yeah, they joined after launch. I think she's the first after launch, but I know that Hime's debut was happened a lot later, and she didn't even have her model shown. And Fruit, who was originally Apricot, she joined also not at launch, but I think it was the original crew was everybody else, right? Manners, Melody, of course, Mousy, Silvervale, And it's 5 members, right? Five original members. Am I forgetting? Manners, Silvervale, Iron Mouse, Melody. I can't forget Melody. She's 4 members. I don't. Oh, Zendaya. Oh, how could I forget Zendaya? I was just talking about her. Yeah, Zendaya, Melody, Iron Mouse, Silvervale, and Nanners. I think were the original 5 when Bishojo was launched, and then Fruit and Hime were like right on that. And so I guess it was the 7 were the original, and then you had Bebe, right? Yeah, Zen. Like I said, how could I forget Zen? I was just talking about her. I always like it when she does the drumming streams, especially with people doing either karaoke or having just piano playing, and then she goes in there with drums. I like those streams. Those are actually pretty awesome. Or guitar, people just with guitar, and then she come in with the drums. I've seen those streams. Those are pretty awesome. But the Apex streams with Haruka are second to none. I love them. I love them too much. And then there's of course Fruit in the middle of it all. Just trying to be Fruit, and she's so adorable. Haruka and Zen go at each other. It's funny. Thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you very much for joining, for chatting. It's very, very nice. Where was I don't even know what I was talking about. Now we were talking about, doing crazy stuff. The stuff that's happening in the community. And I mentioned, that the companies are also part of it, but the bullying that especially the companies are doing for the creators is it's so awful. And I don't know how a person who is an up and coming and somebody trying to make their way, because here I am, I kind of do care, but I don't. I care, but I don't care. If it happens, it would be great. I would love to be monetized. Like I said, if I'm monetized, I can quit my job and I'll make their lives a living hell only because of it. But setting my I'm still fully prepared to do my job until I die. So whether I become monetized or not is not. It would be a good thing, but it's not. Not something that I'm looking forward to. But I watch people who are up and comers trying to make their way and make their bones, and this is their generator, and how things like Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that either allow a toxic environment or people to be horrendous to other people, or completely shut down, don't protect, don't value their creators, the people that are actually making the money for them in any way, shape, or form, except for as a revenue service. And they don't really care, especially the smaller people. They don't really care because there's 10,000 other people trying to do the exact same thing as you, trying to get their piece of the pie in the mainstream of thing. And it's almost heartbreaking to watch people come and go, almost come and go just as quickly as they came in. And I can see something that would have been great, but they can't survive. They can't survive in this eat world. And I hate the sameness. The sameness really really kind of bothers me with the streaming platforms. And what I mean by sameness is that basically even the basically how to be monetized and stuff like that. I freaking like almost hate it because they talk about like, oh yeah, and your original content and be you and do something unique and be out, go against the grain and have your own niche and do all these other things. But what they really are saying is like, take somebody else's niche, do the exact same thing that they're doing because that's what gets monetized, that's what gets viewers in here, and especially if that niche is popular, and if it's popular you'll make more money, and trends go away, and then eventually you'll lose all your money and you'll probably quit streaming because you're basically a carbon copy of somebody who already did it before you. And and yeah, and so like that whole thing, I should turn notifications off. That just distracted me, and I shouldn't be distracted by notifications. But yeah, it's almost heartbreaking. Well, I shouldn't say it is heartbreaking that people who I think had a chance to show who they are and be themselves are basically just getting stepped on and snubbed out before they actually could get to the point where they can reveal themselves. Otherwise, just stuck playing freaking Minecraft, and why would everybody learn? There's so many freaking Minecraft videos out there. Why would somebody want to try to make their bones doing Minecraft? I don't. Could be great and popular, but I'm just like it's just. It kind of wears on me after a while watching those videos and the sameness of it. Like why I call it the sameness. The sameness of it, scream, yell, attacked by zombies, whatever, fall in lava, drown in the water, whatever it is that happens to you. It just seems like it's all the same thing. And I used to think that it was very creative and people could build their own stuff, but pretty much people who have built stuff and that look kind of amazing, they basically took it from somebody else's model or had somebody else come into their Minecraft stream and build those things, and it's just kind of like, oh, this is kind of a big huge waste of time, and you don't get to see the actual creativity of what's going on. And obviously there's the zombie things, and people spending more time being attacked by things than actually building and creating. So I don't like Minecraft. I'm not a big Minecraft fan. If that doesn't Minecraft might be great for some people, but I'm not a big Minecraft fan because of it. I remember when they did the next generation enterprise to scale, and didn't have enough computer capacity to try to. Well, I shouldn't say that because I know that they might have finished it by now, but I remember when they were trying to finish it and they ran out of computer capacity for it because it was just so huge. And I thought that when I saw that, I thought that was absolutely amazing as far as Minecraft is concerned. And since then, I've never seen anything equal to something like that, which is, I think it was, I know it didn't have the nacelles on it, the thing that creates the warp on the ship, and I'm trying to think of how much of the belly of the ship that they had. I don't think it was a lot, but they definitely had the front saucer, the Galaxy class Starship. All I remember is when I saw it, I was just like, this is just absolutely amazing. Like, how much time went into this, and and it wasn't one person doing it; it was a whole crew of people doing it. I was absolutely in awe of it. But after seeing that, I've never seen anybody, as far as Minecraft is concerned, do something as big or as grandiose or as make it. And when YouTubers and VTubers are basically spending their time, running around, chopping things up and not really making anything, it's just kind of like, oh, Yeah, Minecraft. So that's my take on it. Minecraft, and like in people, I know people enjoy Minecraft a lot. But I don't think it's original anymore. I don't think it has any the spark. The spark is this, and I don't like the graphics, so it is what it is. I lose my train of thought, and I think I was talking about how horrible the companies are, and I'm talking about content problems. That's my opinion on it. It doesn't make it yay or nay, but it's I just when people think that they have to do whatever, play a certain game or do something, other than being consistent and making videos and doing, being who you are. When they figure, then you have to do this in order to, you have to put this tag in, you have to, have clickbait and all this other stuff. And I know Nux jokes around about the clickbait all the time, but if you really watch his videos, it is kind of clickbait, but you're going to watch his videos just because it says Nux on it. He just recently did a video about somebody reacting to his video, and because they had Nux in it, that reaction video got a lot of hits. So Nux himself is clickbait. It is what it is. Thank you for joining me. I can't express it enough. There, how wonderful it is that you join me. If you have a chance, you can watch me talk about what a spaz I am about people in the chat, and I hope that I'm less of a spaz right now, and I hope that it's, like I said, I've said this before, and I can say it now again, is that it's you have 100% of my attention in chat right now, and I know that I know that when I've been the chatter vying for the attention of the streamer, and that I don't really vie for the attention. I'm pretty much just, I try to get to the point where I'm just reacting to whoever's streaming, and I like when they react back to me, and I think that that's great. The kind of the warm fuzzies when that happens. But now I'm small enough that any type of reaction I can give you on my 100% of my undivided attention, which is, I hope that I can achieve that. And then definitely thank you for coming in. Thank you for stopping in. Appreciate that. I am going to wrap up the stream. I definitely wanted to talk more about the toxicity and people treating people badly, and how coercion is not consent, and things like that. And I didn't get to it, and I will probably get to it in another stream. I wanted to also talk about, so you found yourself in a I definitely recognized you, and not that I believe it, I know that to be true. I know that to be an actually true thing. And it wasn't the day that she learned to whistle. I think it was when she was trying to whistle. You made a comment. It wasn't the day before. I think it was like 2 or 3 days before. You made a comment, and she said she's going to practice it, and because she tried it and she failed, and then it came back, and you were on again, and then you made that comment about have you learned, right? I think I'm remembering this correctly. How you learned it, and she said no, and then she went and did it, and she actually learn to whistle, right? I think I got that right. See, I've been paying attention. I've been watching those live streams. And I knew I recognized you. I knew it. I knew I recognized you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Please tell me I'm right. But yeah, I'm in there too. I don't know if you've ever seen my comments, and like I said, I kind of swoon every time she reacts to my comments, but she's pretty slick about it too, because she'll just answer it like she's talking to you, and I forget sometimes that it's, there's hundreds of comments coming through, and when she basically either picks out my comment, that's awesome. That is awesome. But when she picks out my comment out of all the things that are going through, and it's sometimes I think she is the master of it. I don't know what I would do if the chat was just scrolling by. But yeah, if all of a sudden she'll pick out a comment, and sometimes I make a lot of comments, so sometimes she doesn't get them, but when she does, she does it like she's just in a conversation with you, a one-on-one conversation. And I always just like almost taken back when she does it, because I instantly want to answer, want to respond to it. I'm like, oh, I get attention. Let me respond to it. But yeah, that was great. That was great. And I actually liked it when she learned to whistle. It was very cute. She needs to practice more, but she definitely did whistle. So I definitely grant her that. So. I think she'll get good. I mean, she's got an incredible singing voice, so and her whistling is not too far from that. But yeah, thank you. We're like I said, you'll snatch my attention away all the time. I'm going to probably head out. I can't appreciate. I can't thank you enough for stopping by, and you definitely make my streams more fulfilling. And it's a really weird dynamic going from when I'm just running without anybody in the chat, and it always, I have to admit, it definitely feels empty. It definitely feels when I don't understand, when I don't know the responses and stuff like that, of how I can't gauge the topic of where I'm going, and as you can tell, I am I'm stream of consciousness just goes into the stratosphere, and I can go all over the place on anything, and it actually kind of helps me focus in on certain things when somebody's in chat. And so thank you for it. I think my stream improved tenfold, so it's I give you full credit for helping me have a successful stream, and I hope anybody who's watching this now from the recording enjoys it, and we're all here to have fun. So it's basically this is our fun time. But I'm going to go. I swear I'm leaving, and Matt, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Have an incredible, incredible, incredible day. And like I said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for stopping by. And I'm going to end this like I end all especially the live streams and everything like that, with a big old cool beans. And I'll see you later. All right, take care, Matt. Take care.